Eu acho que, assim como qualquer outro time aqui que esteja aqui no Ascension, eu acredito que todos têm uma grande chance de ascender. E se a gente está aqui é porque a gente mereceu, a gente trabalhou e fez tudo o que a gente pôde para chegar aqui. Eu acho que vai ser uma partida difícil, né? Eles vêm de uma região muito forte, que é o NA. Eu me identifico muito com a trajetória deles, que eles também são um time que o público não imaginava que eles viriam para Ascension. E eu acho que vai ser uma ótima partida para começar o campeonato. Então, eu acho que o Brasil, por causa de falta de investimentos no Tier 2 e pelo modelo que é as franquias, acaba tendo um pouco de escassez no nosso cenário. E, além do mais, também a gente não tem a possibilidade de treinar com times de franquias, mas eu acho que nesse campeonato a gente vai mostrar que mesmo diante dessas situações ainda dá pra gente mostrar um nível muito alto e um jogo muito bonito.
I definitely think my team is worthy of ascending because we've only gotten better throughout the entire year. Through Split 1, Split 2 in the playoffs, we've been better every single time, and we've beaten all the top teams in our league. I think the last one is M80, so hopefully we'll see them in the finals and show them what we got. I think mentally we're in a very good spot. Like I've said, we've been better every single month of the year, and we've only been getting better. So our mentality is very strong, and tactically, I feel like I've been calling the best I've had in a long time. So we are definitely prepared for the event. I'm actually very excited to play Galorys because this is my first international team that I'll be playing. I've watched a lot of their VODs and feel really prepared. They're a very good team, so we gotta expect like anything to happen because they're very aggressive as well, but we are very ready and excited to play that match. I definitely see my team as one of the teams worthy of ascending because we've shown throughout the year that we've been better in every single event, whether it's Split 1, Split 2 or the playoffs, we have improved every single time. And we've been every single team in our league, whether it's Moist or Oxygen, with M80 being the last one. So hopefully we can show them what we have during this event. Mentally, I think our team is peaking right now because we've been very strong in practice. And strategically, I've been calling the best I've had in a long time, so our team feels very mentally and technically prepared at this moment. I'm actually very excited to play Galorys. It's my first time playing an international team. I know they're very good. I've been watching a lot of VODs with them, and they play very fundamentally sound, but also very aggressive. And yeah, just excited, man. Just excited to play on an international stage.
Welcome back, everyone, to VCT Ascension Americas. First best of 3 on the day, and already expectations flipped on their head as it's going to be the number 2 seed from Brazil taking down the number 1 in Latin America. And now to head on over to our next match. Like number 2 of 3. We got 3 best of 3s today. Today's an awesome day. But we have Galorys going up against TSM. So for anyone who's followed along in the challenges in North America, you'll know a lot about TSM. But let's talk a little bit more about Galorys and this matchup ahead of us, because this should be this should be quite interesting to look at, considering that Galorys, you thought you saw a lot of great stuff coming out from 2 game. They're the number 2 seed. This was number 1 here, Roy.
Yeah, that was going to be my point exactly, Sierra. We saw the number 2 seed of Brazil absolutely dominate the number 1 seed coming in from LATAM. It wasn't even close. There was at no point was there any belief in Reda after watching like Spike and all these players popping off. But now we're seeing the number 1 seed of Brazil. If the number 2 seed is that good, then surely the number 1 seed is going to show us something amazing today.
This team has been absolutely cooking lately, and talking a little bit more in depth about some of the players, and one of the players, well, we got to talk about Star Duelist and what he's been able to accomplish out there. Wow, no wonder this team has been ended up the number 1 seed. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, this is a team that's known in the scene as being very aggressive. And what is the very aggressive role? It's the entrier, Sato here. On the jet, Sato's really good at getting ground and space and not afraid to take those first bloods. 55% success so far in that first blood with a 31% headshot and a KD of 1.22. So that just shows right there, if you're, in my opinion, if you're above 1 as an entrier, that's really good because you're going in there first, and who knows what's on the other side sometimes. So looking at the stats, I think that Sato is pretty successful, and he's got a great team behind him to help set him up.
Absolutely. And I think that is the one thing about Galorys when you're watching them is they tend to have this like sort of traditional team structure where they have an entry, they have a lot of support players. They don't really run any crazy compositions or anything like out of whack. It's mainly just really good fundamental Valorant. And of course they have this player right here, another star player controller who is, well, I mean, you thought the stats of the duelist were insane, but this dude has the same KD. His average, his clutch rate is 22%. He's averaging 155 damage. So like, not only do you have a great entry, but you also have the synergy of having great closers.
Yeah, which this combination is absolutely deadly. Having a strong front on one of the two be a little difficult to get past, but both of this, TSM definitely has their work cut out for them. And talking a little bit more about this TSM squad, I mean, this is the team that, to some surprises, were able to make it to this point. When you look back at the season and what teams you were talking about making it to Ascension, which teams you would see up here, TSM, I think we're more so 4th or 5th on that list, but they really ramped up and kicked into overdrive at that last possible point.
They did. I'm calling TSM what they are. They're the lower bracket warriors. They send everybody home that they faced, and that's such a good feeling for them. And they took down teams that we didn't think they had a chance against. Like POISED was saying in his interview, they sent home Moistic Shopify and also Oxygen Esports, and they just really showed that they're composed and that they're experienced and that they're able to handle these pressured situations.
And when you're looking at this, Roy, because I think we've been on the same mind the whole time, looking at 7 games that TSM win, 7 does good.
Yeah, 7 does amazing. I mean, the dude pops off. The dude has almost 30% clutch rate. I mean, he's the 7 factor. When 7 is having a really good game, TSM's matches just look 10 times easier. And whenever 7 is really struggling, it feels like it really comes down pretty hard on GMD and Sims performances, which tells me that there is sort of like kind of like a common denominator of the 7 factor. And of course, this is Guimont, the controller player of the team, who also has a lot of pop-off potential. I mean, not only is he popping off in terms of kills, but he's also like, look at his assists per round. He's always active. He's always getting value around the map, and he's willing to take the risks for TSM.
And TSM, they need those risks going into today. And I want to start talking a little bit more about what we can expect in this matchup. And we already talked about duelists over on Galorys end of things, but I want to compare and contrast that a little bit to TSM and looking a little bit more at Sim, because Sim has that firepower. Like, Sim is absolutely popping off. So I think this is a really, really fun little head-to-head to see from our duelists, because really, like, there is just so many memorable Sim clips when I'm thinking back to the season, but I really want to see that step up today.
Yeah, so I think for me, the big thing between these two teams is that Sim's stats have, I mean, he does have a lot of first kill participation, but in terms of like raw stats, it doesn't look that insane in comparison to Sato's stats, who is not only having a lot of first kill participation, but he's also like he's killing more people than he's getting killed by. So I mean, he's clearly having a lot more performance. He seems more well integrated into the style, but again, we don't really have a scale. We don't know how Sato plays against a team like TSM, who have taken down some of the best teams in North America.
Yeah, and I have to say, Sim's probably one of my favorite Raze players to watch. I think Sim really understands that agent and is fully aware of what's needed of him. But when we compare these stats against Sato, it just looks almost incomparable. I mean, one is just much more stronger than the other, but again, we have a completely different playing field. Sim is playing against some really tough opponents in the NA Challengers, but then we have a really high-seeded team here too with Galorys.
100%. And I know we've been throwing a lot of stats at you guys, but we have one final one, I promise. But Roy, for this one, we've got to highlight both of these players, but head to head.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the whole point of what we've been showing so far on the show has been to kind of build the story that these teams are pretty evenly matched in their structure. They have great duelists, they have great support players, they're star players in a lot of roles, and it's pretty evenly matched, and it is going to be who's popping off. How many more players on one team are having a good game? You know, how's the strategy? How's the calling for these teams? What is the preparation like, right? And of course, there has been a bit of a downtime since their last matches. So like, obviously there's going to be some changes possibly. So there's there's a lot of layers of that. Like, can they adapt on the spot? Can they, can they pop off? And it's just like there's just so many levels of competition that are happening simultaneously.
Yeah, and like you were saying, we're throwing a bunch of different stats out here because the stats don't lie at the end of the day, but what really matters is who showed up today, who had their Wheaties, who's ready to go, who studied harder, and who wants it more. So we can show stats all day, but it really just comes down to this opener, and it's the first international land for some of these players. We have to remember that.
Especially, too, you're talking about it all matters on what they show up to today, and that's where I'm curious to see what look we're going to see from them. We'll head on over to our Zippo map select for where the battleground is going to be taking place for our two teams and where we're going to be kicking things off. And we're talking about the map pool and how things could be a little bit different for some of these teams, a little funky. So Haven will be second, but it's going to be Bind to kick off our series.
Whew. Okay, hold on. I know we want to talk about Vine, but the Haven for the second, I don't think we've seen Haven at all from Galorys. We haven't. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, this is all going to be up to Bind, in my opinion. The fact that they left it open, maybe they had time to prepare for it. But for Bind, map pick from Galorys, they had a 50% win rate percentage of it from split 2, but it's not a terrible map pick for them because it's also not the best one for TSM. But I just can't get over the second map, Roy.
Yeah, I mean, just to circle back to the first map, Bind is actually a really good map for both of these teams. It's one of their most played maps across the board. I think there is split for the Brazilian side, but obviously that's not in the map pool anymore. But I mean, Bind is a pretty well-versed map for both of these teams. I think it's going to be a very close match between these two, and it's really going to come down to the specifics. But in terms of Haven, I almost feel like it works in the advantage of the team that hasn't shown the map, right? Like, Galorys has so much room for, expression here. There's really no prep work that TSM could do for that map, unless you're trying to go back to, like, I don't know how long ago Haven was in the map pool, but I mean, there's just gonna be nothing available. So really, I feel like it's almost in the advantage of the team that hasn't shown that map to be pulling these out right here.
Especially, too, remember, we're talking about the #1 seed coming out for Brazil. So we already got to see, we talked so much about these little zones and how they compete up against each other. And 2-game being the second seed, I definitely have high expectations of Galorys ahead of this series. And even if, sure, there hasn't been anything that we've seen from them from Haven, it's been quite a while, since we've gotten to see any of these teams really play. So, like, the sky's the limit on what they've been able to accomplish on the map in the meantime.
Yeah, and to circle back on Bind, because Galorys is such an aggressive, dominant team, this is actually a really good map for them now that I'm thinking more about it. This is a map that kind of similar to what we just saw 2G do, honestly. They were just hitting, getting it, and just doing the job that they came in here to do. So I feel like that we might see something a little bit similar from what we just witnessed, because we have to remember 2G, who we just saw, played against Galorys, who we're watching now, and Galorys beat that team. So
2-0.
Now we're going to be facing 2-0. So now we're going to be watching them play versus TSM. So it could be a similar thing that we just saw, Roy.
Yeah, and I think another interesting point on these maps as well is that both of these maps, Bind and Haven, are kind of like duelist dive favored, where like you kind of set up the duelist and they sort of go in and try to brute force through utility and brute force into control. And on these maps, both of these teams have these kind of duelists, and they also have this kind of support system. So it's going to be a pretty interesting dynamic of like clashing of two very like similar stylistic ways of approaching the game. And I think that kind of makes for a cool gameplay at the very minimum.
Especially to having already set up Sato going up against Sim in this series, and even just seeing what Sato's been able to do throughout the playoffs runs that Galorys has had. I think when we're looking at that, I think it's going to be really exciting. We've already exciting duelist matchup in that last one, but to be able to see that repeated, I think it's great. I'm curious about whether we're going to get comp changes coming on out, even tweaked just a little bit, since I believe it was Galorys that was playing the Fade last time on Bind and kind of swapped things around from time to time, and we've already gotten to see teams switch up their Bind going in today. So I'm kind of curious if they're gonna, they've had quite a few weeks to cook, if they want to swap over to that sky.
Yeah, they very well could do that because there is a lot of information out there about how they play with their agent pool already. So if you want to try to be thinking outside of the box a little bit, they definitely had that opportunity, like you mentioned, to change their agent pool if they wanted to. So it is only a possibility that we could be seeing moving forward.
Yeah, there's definitely, I think, going back to a previous series, a lot of expectations of what we could see coming out on today. But Roy, I'm kind of looking at this, the number 1 seed going up against this number 2 seed from NA that has a lot to prove in this, and curious kind of hitting the stage on how exactly that's going to be playing out.
I mean, if we're talking about TSM here as well, like TSM actually has nothing to prove. They've been doubted their entire season. Even when they took down some of the best teams, people still didn't give them credit. So if I'm TSM, I'm kind of just chilling, to be honest. Like I have nothing to prove. People already expect nothing from me. But on the other hand, Galorys, they're the number 1 seed. I think there's a lot of expectations on them to match the performance that 2G just put up, the number 2 seed. And it's sort of this like battle of the egos in terms of like who wants to be the best representative of the region, obviously. So I mean, I feel like there has to be a little bit of pressure on the Galorys side.
I mean, I'm thinking of, you're talking about people have doubted TSM and have kind of never given them credit, but I'm looking back and even the little interviews that were being done in POISED saying like, yeah, time to prove like the run wasn't a fluke. And those are what I think of when I think of TSM is you're saying there's nothing to prove. I feel like that is the point to prove that it wasn't a fluke, that everyone who's kind of discredited them throughout the entire way are just frankly wrong, and that they deserve to be here and can make that run. So I'm really keen to see, especially with how kind of late in the whole split the TSM really did kind of turn it up. I mean, all of a sudden they struggled through stage 1, they struggled through stage 2, and then it clicked. And now they're on this stage, Ascension, to prove that everything was worth it. And do they have what it takes?
I think it could go either way. I hate to say it, but let's see if we can see their faces, because then I might be able to see their aura, Roy likes to call, and see if they're in the right mindset. And here we have it. We have this huddle, and I love this moment. Again, it's just your heart's racing, and this is where you're like, yeah, let's go. We've prepared all of our year for this, and it all comes down to this moment. So yeah, they're just getting in the zone right now, and this is really important as an endgame leader. I'm one myself, where you have to really motivate your team. It all comes down to your motivational speech, and we're going to be seeing TSM walk out soon too.
I mean, we're talking about that motivation, but being able to prove that on this stage that you have what it takes to ascend and be able to compete amongst the best has to be all the motivation in the world itself. I'm waiting for the huddle on this, Em. You're talking about the huddle.
Where is it?
The TSM
Zero
business,
synergy.
Guys. They're
all right.
SGG, are we calling it?
No. They're locked. I'm saying the opposite. They're locked in.
Okay.
Eye on the prize. All right. They want to sit and they want to get right into
Not
the game.
even
Right?
like a fist bump or anything, just sat right down. That's crazy.
Never let the other team know what you're doing.
Make them think everyone's in shambles, but you actually just locked in. But no, I do have this like sort of theory that the teams that look the most chill are usually the ones winning, right? Like if they look too amped up, they look a little too motivated, means they probably care a little too much for the result. But I feel like when you're chill, it's just like, it's kind of like the Aspas effect. You just sit back in your chair, you're chilling, you don't even fist bump your teammates, and it's just like you drop 40s in the server, and like, what can you even say at that point?
Hey, I think going into this that, hey, I want to see the work and the preparation they've put in. You're saying the one that cares a bit too much. No, I think that already we've gotten to see a really big scale up in our previous series. And with quite a bit of time off, and I think it's really being able to show that you are worthy. This one's going to be so good because we already had the shocker on the day, M, and it's TSM. They definitely have that surprise factor. They've shown it when they've taken teams down. They're going to show it now again. They're bringing on the deadlock. Okay.
What else is different? Is that going to be it? Taking a look.
Yeah, I think it's mostly, these are not even new comps to either of these teams. I'm fairly certain they've both ran these variants of these comps before. I know Galorys has ran this comp for a while now, but I mean, this kind of goes back to the point of like, once you run a meta comp, it's hard to go off meta. Like if you're an off meta team, it's really easy to swap up and go into a meta comp. But when you're playing the meta, like what are you going to do? Reinvent the wheel after you've gotten comfortable with like already a functioning composition? You know what I mean? So I'm not really surprised to see these compositions still in play. And of course, a proto on the deadlock is not something new. We've seen it before.
Yeah, so it is the same comps that we've seen from both teams, like you were saying, Roy. So nothing different, unfortunately. We're not seeing a Neon. We're not seeing a Fun Yoru. We're seeing the same old that we've seen from both of these teams, but that's okay.
I'm just looking at the most recent time we've seen TSM and swapping off the deadlock. So they're going back. I'm excited to see it. And I'm excited to see what they have to prove going up against the #1 seed here from Brazil. And time to head on over to our casters, Uber and Wyatt, to find out more.
Thank you very much, Desk. Yes, I mean, great point. TSM and Galorys both playing with comps that they're very familiar with. TSM have been playing the deadlock on Bind ever since May, I want to say, and used to the great effect most recently with a big win against Oxygen Esports in those lowers in playoffs for challenges, Wyatt. So expecting to see some magic here. Let's see what Galorys have for us, a #1 seed from Brazil.
Yeah, that win you mentioned against Oxygen, excuse me, that was a big upset for TSM to take. And my question coming into this match is, was that tournament, the qualification to get here to Ascension, where TSM bested the likes of Oxygen, MXS, was that a flash in the pan, or is this actually an indicator of them really leveling up?
Good opener here at the very least. Is he connected? But Sato's able to recover at the very least. The 1-for-1, Irango had to give that ground up. A Gecko util, a little too threatening. But this is very methodic here by TSM. They are scaling up ever so slowly in a proto with 20 HP. And the Ghost is able to find 2 heads. The guy with the pistol is just something different. And now it's up to Luxo, who has to peer into the site, carrying 4 TSM combatants and, of course, the deadlock wall in his way. The retakes are going to be very difficult for Galorys for that exact reason.
Yeah, Proto said, methodic? Huh? I'm running in solo, winning 2 duels with a Ghost, both headshots. No one was in position to follow up, but that is just the individual skill from TSM on full display immediately. Individual skill that at times was no doubt the driving force of their huge run they had in the playoffs to qualify. I mean, they were just destroying some of the teams on that front, never lost duels. If that form continues, or if that's just the form that they're going to be in all the time, this is a scary team. I mean, Poise said it in the interview before we got into this game, but M80 was really the only team that they had left to best. And we'll see if they've improved enough to do so, but obviously, don't want to get too ahead of myself as the first team to beat is this Brazilian #1 seed, Galorys.
And a bind map chosen by Galorys that fits TSM pretty well. They're very comfortable here.
Very, yeah. This is a map that they tried to play as much as possible back in Challengers NA and found a lot of success on it.
He will keep being pressured here out of lamps early on, but there's a risk being forced into a hard retake for Galorys. They still have to deal with this deadlock util, and with pistols no less. Yeah, 5 hours later.
I mean, it's just the power of deadlock is this situation, the post plan, the delay.
They're gonna flood Sim, overwhelmed. He's only able to find the 1. Look to try and make a spray down and hands that Vandal over to Luxo. TSM, the next trap is gonna be set up here towards short, but that cheeky little brim smoke makes this a little complicated. Still gonna come for it. Galorys are running out of time. They've got to go quick, but TSM are just that much faster. Gimon drops the molly down, disrupts Rude, and it's Orango, who will perish to the spike one way or another.
And I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to be seeing a lot of what we just saw there. Deadlock throwing down all of that utility, the wall going up into the CT spawn, little connector, the sonic sensors onto the spike, send out that pseudo fault line stun, and then you just have GMD chilling in the back, Molly's coming over top. I mean, retaking against this comp is just a nightmare. And that is where it excels. That is where TSM have been able to find wins against their North American opposition. And I'm not sure if this is something that Galorys have really ran into on this map. You know, the Deadlock has been played here and there on Bind, but is not a mainstay like this Galorys comp is that was popularized by 100 Thieves this year.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple teams in challenges that were busting this out. I think it was, Fnatic or one of the teams that also worked this in a little bit. But, teams like SAD also, looked up a lot to that kind of style. Tried the Deadlock, tried even crazier stuff, Yoru stuff. That was definitely a Fnatic comp. But here, Galorys need to figure out that giving up the site so freely, so easily, is going to make those retakes that much harder. They need to anchor here against TSM.
Yeah, TSM that have bought on that second round to get a few rifles into the third, so their bonus is looking a little bit more like a real buy, aside from a Proto who's got the Sheriff. But for about 4 years straight, I've seen a Proto make magic happen with that Ion Sheriff, but it's Sim to open things up, straight up duel against Durango. 5-on-4 advantage now for TSM. Potential to convert the bonus.
Such confidence from Orango there, who wants to shoot the Dizzy instead of falling off that position, even if it felt like Luxo wasn't really in a position to trade or capitalize on that. So it's an easy pickup for Sim at the start of the round, and TSM now decide to head elsewhere. And you can see that Rude's a little bit concerned about the Showers potential, but instead it's going to be everyone thrusting down short. Here comes Sim, double satchel for Showers, baby. And Sano's head goes rolling instantly. Sim for 3 in the round. Galorys in absolute tatters. An evil kick is just getting sprayed down. Not a chance. It's up to Luxo here. Who'd probably rather keep his weapon.
No. You cannot let Sim get away with that, and you cannot let a duelist like him get that momentum and confidence early. Sim is a turbulent player. He's had ups and downs throughout this year, but his ups are pretty damn high. I mean, when he is on point, he is one of the most fearsome duelists in the challenger scene. You do not want him feeling confident straight away. Trailblazer timing was nice there as well from Poise. Credit to the IGL for the utility and the timing with Sim's double satchel. That was beautiful. Recognizing that Galorys, in that situation, we're going to play towards Showers, try and control that area of the map together in a 4v5 situation. Absolutely crushed. Bonus converted.
Because TSM don't have that Viper, they can't really sneak someone down towards lamps and embed them there. It's a little bit harder for them to imply potential presence up A short. And that's the reason why Galorys are thinking so much about Showers, because they can see the A short push. They one way it with the Brimstone. They're less concerned about that. But they also don't have a great way to get that extreme Showers control here. They're up against the barrier here on the A side at the start of this round though.
Immediate push down short with the weak weaponry. Dizzy over top, and Proto is content just backing off. Oh, the sonic sensor goes off. And that's Sato punished. Rude now in no man's land.
This is very scary. Rude realizing that the map definitely under control here by TSM, who just wait off the sites and wait for Galorys to come to them. And straight, folks, into the wood chipper. Galorys get turned into mulch in a round where they really try and push up on some of these extremities. That doesn't work either.
I mean, TSM barely moved an inch past the spawn barrier. I think maybe only 7 actually crossed it over towards Hookah. Maybe, someone took a couple steps towards Fountain, but they just let the game come to them. Orango now with a Thrash in hands. As does his counterpart, Gecko 7 on TSM. So a couple key ultimates in play here on round 5. As Galorys are fully bought into this.
It already feels like there's a real download here for TSM on Galorys. Why that sonic sensor placed by a Proto to receive the push-up A short. Absolutely centimeter perfect. Here it is. Luxo has to face this one down, and you've got to put some respect on the name. Sim has to trade it, though. Heel kick here playing inside Hookah, gets there, but it's just so telegraphed where he's going to be standing, and Orango is caught by a grab net at the back of the site. At no point does he have the ability to pull this off him. He's hoping to take a fight, but it's all too easy for Poise to swing around the corner. Homie is fertilizer.
He is cooked. I mean, just send him back in time to save. Oh my god. These execs from TSM have been perfect Sim winning opening duels now on both gun rounds. First time it was on Orango, this time on Luke Zhou, who's really impressed me in the Brazilian Challengers scene. I think one of the best players that I've watched. And from what I've seen, his anchoring on the B site has just been rock solid, but immediately torn to shreds by Sim, who is already looking so on point, such a confident duelist.
And you feel like Galorys are on the right track when they're thinking about these early pops, but they don't necessarily have a comp that like facilitates for that. And also they're doing it on save rounds. They're doing it on some of those little weaker rounds. They need to find a way to be able to anchor on the site, but you see there, it's just, okay, the attackers trade 1-for-1, have a player advantage, and end up getting a post-plant set up. Galorys know at this point that they can't afford to allow the deadlock utility to get laid down in a post-plant situation, so they have to avoid that entirely, which prices them into taking some risks in the early round, or at least having to set up some trap plays, potentially on the fly if they're not used to this style.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, trying to play in any way focused on retakes or thinking that that's a good option, you're going to get destroyed. You're going to get blown out on your defensive half. You can't allow the deadlock. You can't allow a proto to set that utility up. You have to be more proactive. And from what we can see there too, the utility that's flying in from the TSM side is so thorough at just rooting out players from the site, or just, in that case, with the grab nets landing perfectly and trapping them within it, caught looking at multiple angles while, there's mollies coming at you, flashes as well. It's going to need to be proactive from Galorys. They're going to have to try to fight at some of these chokes while a hit is going to come in. Find a nice timing where maybe there's some utility in hand, flash around the corner, go for something, aggressive in those moments. We'll see what the plan is out of this timeout, though. They've still got 2 ults that they've been sitting on, that Thrash from Marengo. Another Nightfall from Evil Kick. A couple rifles, but not much to work with for the Brazilian side.
TSM compact up short here for the time being. Here's the Dizzy, the showstopper, though. The show gets stopped instead. It was Sim caught in midair by Sato. Orango, though, just takes a swing, takes a chance, comes off second best. That's beautiful stuff from Sato, though. Definitely a standout player on this team. 7 around the corner and loses his head. The wall is down, so Evil Kick has to try and find a way to get onto the site without... Yeah, it's time to chop away at those foundations, my friend. Carry water, chop wood, try and win the round. Gonna be Luke Zhou here, tucked in the corner with nothing but a Sheriff to receive this attention. Nice haunt, though. A lot of info there. Nightfall comes out, but Luke Zhou can't convert. Golden opportunity goes begging. And TSM now with the player advantage, looking to get a plant down.
So low on HP, the lowest you can get, and gets gunned down. And now it's a weak GMD caught in the container. Trying to find a moment to swing on to Rude. Nice fade utility. Applying that pressure for the Brim to try to get an opportunity to take a duel here.
One enemy remaining.
Beautiful. Oh, the sonic sensor connecting there. A proto here knows exactly where Brood has been because they've been tapping and firing for the last couple of minutes. But the spray transfer is stellar.
What is that?
With a jaw to break an anvil, comes out and smashes through that TSM post plant.
That is unreal. I have seen Rude pull off some fantastic clutches for this Galorys team over in Brazil. Immediately doing it to TSM here to get their first round on the board, snatch away some of that momentum, get the team hyped up. Well done from Sato there too. Locking down lamps earlier in the round.
What is this spray transfer, man?
I mean, just ridiculous.
That is putrid. Oh my God.
It's just ridiculous.
Okay. See, look at that. So chiseled. So defined.
My ult's not ready.
Great start for Galorys. But that's how they win a round. That's how they do it. How repeatable is that kind of feat?
And as important as that round is, this one equally so, as the economy is still in a bit of a tough spot for Galorys, but they have still multiple ultimates to be able to convert this important round. There comes the Thrash out of the teleport, gets no value. Sato was ready to try to follow up with the speed of that stim on the ground, but no one to follow up on.
Orango here theoretically can play a crossfire from this position. Good spray down, but Sim steps up and trades it. Most of the action, though, over towards the A side here, though. Galorys with a surge up mid again. A Proto has been waiting every round for this. And that's a grab net. Rude tears it off of him. Disgruntled. And Seven at least is able to capitalize.
Spike
Well, he
down.
becomes more accurate when you crouch. I guess Evil Kick making full use of that. And now Spike is dropped. It will be a case of Poised having to drop back and pick it up. Evil Kick looking worse for wear after that little throwed out. And he knows Poised is just around the corner. Here's the C's.
Oh, good C's.
Poised caught.
Trying to meet up with Poised too. Crucial duel to win. Luxio just not able to get there in time. He has not had the hot hand so far. A really talented player, and he needs to step up for his team right now. This would be a crucial 1v2.
There'll be another clutch for Galorys to win around. TSM don't know
Spike planted.
quite where he is. They're trying to check for it here. Concerned about a re-wrap through shower. Luxio shows himself at short and Poised. He's quick on the trigger this time.
Yeah, just immediately swung on by the IGL, and Sim was ready to follow up if he lost that duel. I love how a Proto is playing towards short right now. He has just been
One enemy remaining.
absorbing this aggression with the utility. The pride around it was that sonic sensor that got him a free kill. And now finding that first, backing off with the grav net, allowing opportunity for his teammates to work their way over. This early round aggression, his contact walkdowns from Galorys have found zero value, and it's put their economy in the bin.
And that's the deadlock difference. You're damned if you do. If you push off those sides, try and take an early fight, get caught in that util. And if you don't, you have to deal with the wall thrown up and a very difficult post plant where you have to flood through one angle. Stack here, inside Smoker.
Down.
For Galorys, is it's just the rifle of Rude that they're looking to play around. Pearson will move up to check this now. Is there a flood out of Hookah? Here comes Thrash to check things out. Sees the back side is clear, so TSM are in. Galorys waiting to spring for.
Still smoked off the by GMD and popping out off the Dizzy. Gets a couple blinds, but the shots just can't connect. TSM with the superior weaponry and on the proper angles, holding for each other. Make it look all too easy. I mean, Poised was making a hell of a lot of noise here. Rude is on the angle, ready for this.
Planted.
Oh,
matter.
Poised, man. He has the hot hand right now.
He is feeling it, no doubt about it. That's a rifle down. Sapo not in a position to recover it either.
What?
That is that is a pretty convincing blacklight flawless there, and it was the counter Dizzy from TSM. 7-3 that one up, blinded all three Galorys players trying to flood out of Hookah there that absolutely crushed them.
I mean, 10-2 right now for Poised, the IGL of this team. Sim 10 for 5. I mean, Poised was talking about how much he watched Galorys, studied their VODs heading into this, feeling comfortable with playing against this team.
They had the download.
Downloading them, like you said, yeah.
A couple of the reads have looked honestly uncanny.
Mark 2.
All right, some pings there off that haunt for Evil Kick. A lot of footsteps here over towards slope. Evil Kick will have to slow it up, and the C's will work to that effect. 3 players grouped up here for Galorys. No showstopper to work with. TSM have been more than happy to make a little bit of noise as they pull out of Hookah. And they're sending Poised over now to see what's been happening at A.
Yeah, just weary about a potential flank. You know, not having any information. The Deadlock doesn't, you know, offer that passive info gain. Like if they're playing another Sentinel, but Sentinel's not even, you know, particularly played on bind anyhow.
Mark 3.
That cycle
that's
pod gets
huge.
a ton of value. No one breaking that.
He's had
Immense.
like 5 or 6 pings off Haunt so far this
Yeah.
round. Like I didn't have that in a game. And now we try again. TSM are pulled out. They do have Poised set up here. Still a guiding light to work with, so
30 seconds left.
there is a flash to play off of. Is he also
Sato has a
available?
showstopper.
Can he time this properly? Orango prepared here to stop the easy plant. Oh, Poised got caught in short by Rude. All right. Orbital strike works out, but it was still in a post plant. Surely Sim sees Sato pop up there, but doesn't react. He gets taken down by Orango. Seven was able to find a kill on the show-stopping play, but there's only 2 left for TSM now. And this is where Galorys can take it up a gear. Proto holds his ground, but not for long. And finally, Galorys get another on the board.
Nicely done, that swift retake, and credit to Rude for the well-placed orbital strike to find that opening onto Poised. Very important. The ultimate's paying off there. Sato as well, just jumping up with that showstopper, creating a bit of space, and even just a distraction for Arango to re-push into Lamps. I like that from Galorys, a sign of life, some decisiveness, some speed from them.
That hit on towards the side, the response to TSM. So much of that round was Evil Kick getting a huge amount of information. I mean, he is able to relay to the rest of his team that on 2 separate occasions, 2 or 3 members of TSM are still encroaching on that B side of the map. That is unreal. You know, when you compare that to TSM's team, who in the mid round doesn't actually have a way to get information outside of guiding light, a dizzy throw. But you want to make sure that dizzy's recoverable for an actual site hit, so you tend not to deploy them, you know, too far away from you. And that's one of the weaknesses here, is that the Deadlock comp doesn't get information of contested areas at all.
Yeah, they have to keep that watchful eye on the flanks as well. Evil Click definitely seems happy to throw out that Fade utility, was expending a ton of it over in Hookah. You know, perhaps something that TSM can try to exploit by just drawing that out very early in the round, you know, as they did there. You know, had they actually just broken that haunt and gone for the hit, wouldn't have had to contend with the Seas in that situation. Already used one of the Prowlers. They would have been able to just burst straight through follow-up Sim without getting, you know, caught in the Seas, which would have split their attack in two, you know, kept the players without the movement stuck in Octagon. But it's really just that haunt not getting broken, the smallest thing, and it just has so much impact.
We really don't see where the haunt is thrown, but safe bet that it's a little sloppy on the clears for TSM of those. And again, just basically broadcasting their location while being unable to use the same. Definitely hurts them in that kind of round. But we've also seen them just sort of walk up pretty confidently and take these sort of side hits. We might have just seen Galorys start to get a little bit more comfortable. You know, we're on board with Sim, and he's obviously watching for a swing from vents, but Sato pops up with a satchel out of a smoke midway through the site, and he doesn't appear to react to that. He's not watching for that. It is a bit of a weird angle. Normally you'd see maybe even a double satchel or a different angle taken by the Rays there, but Seven was still able to trade that. Losing Poised to the orbital strike as they were hitting. Really nice timing off the Brimstone there. Throw that down, and that's towards A short, which TSM are using to traverse to the site.
And that round aside, though, obviously very impressed with TSM so far in this game. I mean, they were a team that up until the playoffs, they had not beaten any of the top 4 ranked teams in NA Challengers, and they beat every team ranked below them, firmly the gatekeeper slot. And then when it mattered most, they just rose to the occasion, beat Moist Shopify, beat Oxygen, qualify for this event. And so far, you know, they are carrying that over. They haven't faltered, slipped back to where they were at. It seems, at least so far, that tournament, that qualification is an indicator of the team improving, kicking it into that next gear, reaching the next level.
I'm really curious about Haven as well, a second map in this series. We've seen TSM actually more recently switch the Jet for a Neon. They are playing that Neon style on that map. But for Galorys, the last time that organization has been credited with a match on Haven was over a year ago, with a completely different team in a completely different meta. You get the point.
With 5 different players. Yeah, I mean,
there is no data to be gleaned from them on that map. It's a map that they, frankly, have just been able to avoid playing for the most part. So, very curious to see what they have for us there. It's not a map you leave open, you know, if you don't intend to show us a little bit of something. But yeah, like in this veto in general, I mean, Galorys banned Lotus. So you ban Lotus, leave Haven available. You have to have something there. So we're not coming in expecting that to be an absolute stomp, but we have no data whatsoever, which is fun. But also for TSM, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. It's like, okay, well, We play our style, hope to win it. And so far, pound for pound, they definitely seem to be the stronger team, TSM. Right? We talked about Proto, the 2K, and the pistol, some of the mechanics, but we're straight into round 10 immediately. Sato's able to receive 7 early, but again, it's that sim pace that looks so good, and the Proto backs him up perfectly. Narango needs to embed himself now in showers, but I think he might have been spotted by the guiding light. So that might be obvious to TSM.
TSM are really extracting every bit of value from the stims. The swiftness getting into sight there, exploding into lamps, just devastating for Sato. Again, Orengo had an opportunity, had a timing, but can't capitalize.
I don't even know if the guiding light pinged him. It might have gone off prematurely. So it could have had a timing on TSM, but they are all grouped up here, playing towards lamps, which means this gets pretty ugly. Another Hawk thrown out here. Sim goes down. It gets ugly. Luxo able to find 2. Poised at least this time stands up in the trades, and the Zippo clutch comes up. Galorys nicely done with the defense amidst all of that
just
nonsense.
Never able to break the wingman. They just were not active enough in the situation. And also,
Look at it, bro.
Again, the haunt, man. Someone's got to break that. It just lit someone up behind the poison cloud. Free kill.
Oh, that is wild. Tech pause galore comes out here. Obviously, someone experiencing some setup issues on the stage there, but TSM looked like they were doing pretty well. They trade into the A side. They clear it. They get a wall down over towards vents. They get a little fortunate that Orango's not able to find a free kill with that swing out of shower. So they spot him out. They're able to win there. And then in a situation that favors them numerically, they are unable to stop that wingman defuse. Gets messy. It does fall apart. TSM have shown themselves to be a little scrappy right through over the course of, challenges in NA. But that's a round you just can't be giving
at
up.
that point in the round as well, their own deadlock wall just has them all contained in lamps. They can only swing from one angle. So they're all just trying to flood out. But again, someone just has to break these haunts. That's 2 rounds just lost to basically one haunt. Obviously some other things happened, but the haunt kind of the critical factor there. And I mean, frankly, with these multiple tech pauses and losing 2 rounds that were pretty obnoxious to lose, like really we're losing to not breaking one piece of utility again. You got to kind of wonder if the wind is getting taken out of the sails here of TSM just a bit with things slowing down.
Absolutely. I mean, pauses aside, right? There can always be a momentum killer. These last couple of rounds have been a little sloppy from them. A far cry from what we saw from TSM over their first 4 rounds. Like their A hits were so clean. Like Sim just double satcheling over towards Shower, finds 2 kills. Everything looks like it's running very, very smoothly. But that's been broken up a little bit. Galorys also seem to have gotten their sea legs, so to speak. TSM though should still have the money to make something of this next round. I think they're still flush enough,
definitely,
to bring guns in, but they've definitely given Galorys a way to get into the game.
Yeah, a couple more rounds here from Galorys. Get over to the attack side, which they've performed well on regionally. That has been their favored side. Could certainly make a go at things. By no means is the game out of their hands just yet.
We're obviously waiting for confirmation down on the floor. They're in Monterrey, in Mexico.
And we're
not there, in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
We are. We are. People asking in the chat. No, we are not there. I'm in my office. It's fine. We have a player disconnecting from the game. Obviously on LAN, that's concerning.
That is
you obviously
tough.
don't want that.
No, you definitely don't. They don't want that.
Unfortunately,
I don't want
in the current
that.
year,
No
being in the
one
same
wants
room
that.
as someone still doesn't let you play on LAN. You do need some cableage. Also, no, is that I can't tell if that's a pocket watch that Sim has on the necklace. That'd be kind of baller.
A pocket watch? No, that's
what
that's
no,
the
I'm telling you,
Vivian Westwood necklace with the little spaceship looking thing. I don't even know what the logo is. Something like that. It's like a UFO.
I should have just asked you, actually. Yeah, you would kind of know.
He's trying to flex on everyone wearing that. I don't know. It's like
Damn it.
$400 or $500. We get it, bro. You get that TSM money. We get it. I'm here casting for my apartment. That's tough. I'm not even in Monterey. That's tough, bro.
All right, yeah. Again, I probably shouldn't second guess the the jewelry choices of some of our Valorant players because some of them are quite extraordinary.
Yeah, don't look up how much 10's bracelet is.
I think I saw that on Twitter.
Don't look that up.
You know, that's cool. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. They want to go through that level of stress. Y'all deserve it. You'll buy yourself nice things, including footrests for under the desk, especially if you're a little on the vertically challenged side.
At least it doesn't seem like GMD's taking a nap anymore. He's woken
No,
back up.
he did
Maybe
look
that's why they lost the last round.
He looked very demure and mindful, though. I did appreciate that. A real moment of zen here amidst the chaos.
And Unk's trying to relate to the kids. Yes,
dude, no,
very demure, Unk.
I am terminally online. Oh, okay.
Oh my god!
Look at how high that desk is. That guy looks like he was playing on the prow of a boat at home. Okay, I respect that. That might be Orango there with the desk lift. Coach Faded, obviously someone who we got to interview a couple times towards the end of the Challengers season. TSM's head coach. Great head on his shoulders. Really talked about their journey, and honestly, like, it feels like the prep for TSM in a matchup like this has really gone a long way. We are going to step aside for a sec. Lest I say something to incriminate myself. And, and we'll be back in just a moment here. Tech pause, of course, with TSM leading through 7-3 here over Galorys in their first match of this group stage series. because we are so generous, we've decided to start the game. That's right. Us casters, under our own power, immense as it is, have forced the players to resume. We're back here on buy, and it's round 11 here. TSM on the attacking side, and still with a bit of money to spend here. In fact, done well to maintain a balance. Poised with that Trailblazer to spot out any close holds, but misses the fact Narango's playing close left. They opt out of the B play entirely now. Bit of a crunch towards Showers. Perhaps Asado is kind of exposed here. Still able to find Poised.
Wow, I mean, TSM going for some kind of mad play to rotate back into this A hit. But the Showers players were crushed. The Proto gets the first, has them both go for the grab net, trying to find a timing for the swing, but he just can't. But it's 7 from behind. The wrap from sight is perfect. So much delay provided, those players forced to crouch.
Grab net is so messed up. There was nothing they could do. 7 with a great time to wrap around there, and Luke Show is in the 1v2 now. We are in the post plant though, and we are pretty deep into it. As can be heard by the insistent and incessant beeping that only accelerates just as my heart rate does when I'm being told we're getting back into the game. Now it's going to be the thrash in the 1 versus 1. Luke Show able to fell it. Getting into half will be big. 7 shows himself, backs away, plays it to perfection. And TSM rack up another one.
Nicely handled from 7, one of the real foundational
half.
pieces of this TSM team, bringing that consistency all year long. This play through the teleporter was madness. I mean, they had no info really on what was going on Showers. They were just hoping that popping out with the Trailblazer, the ultimate from the sky, would provide it. Or sorry, not the Trailblazer, you know, the Seekers would provide that information. They got absolutely crushed, but again, it's a Proto. You know, he's not the top of the scoreboard, but the impact that he's found with the utility, shutting down some of these early aggressive plays on other rounds, he has had outsized impact on the deadlock.
Absolutely. These trap plays that TSM could put together on the attack side as Galorys push up into them, or if they catch Galorys overextended like they were in Showers there. I could have gone either way. Looking a little bit ugly for TSM as I think they got hit with a thrash there. Yeah, Yorango sent the one out, caught Sim, and then a bunch of util got thrown at him after.
Yeah, now, last round of the half, Galorys, obviously they're forcing, buying whatever they can, and it is not much. And it looks like a round 2 force buy that they have right now. Evil Kick at least has that Nightfall available, could be the crux of an upset round win. We'll have to see. It's been slow from TSM. It's been patient, quiet. And now they're working in towards this A split. Sim has a showstopper to crack this site open.
This might slow down the Showers push. No, they're going to go for it anyway. No support from Shaw for the time being. They got slowed up by the molly, and they're going to go for it anyway. And Sim catches Evil Kick in the corner. Now you can play from short. Sato has to be careful. Yep, 7 emergence immediately. Still, these things are getting value. Great molly to slow up half of TSM's push.
1 enemy remaining.
Spike is loose. A Proto caught out in the open. And it's all down to Gimon.
Yeah, GMT was just so concerned with the market player that he wasn't ready to help Proto, and now we go to fighting. The perfect moment as the spike is tapped for that free kill, closing things out. 4 rounds.
Switching side.
Hard fought, barely recovered from Galorys, but with this really bad buy on the final one, they get that last one on the board.
Yeah, huge fan of just the way that we delay TSM coming up short there. And again, like, you have a showstopper in hand if you're Sim. You're not going to sit and wait for the molly to clear so your team can move down short, unless you just want to throw that away entirely. So he does well. He doesn't overextend in the back of the site, but Sato is obviously holed up closer to short and can move out and take that trade. Just one piece of util really makes a massive bit of difference in that round. And Galorys get their 4th before the half.
Again, mentioned it earlier, but this has been the favored side for Galorys, the attack side that they're heading on to right now. So a pistol round would be immense for them. They'll be right back in the game. A lead for TSM, but certainly not insurmountable.
TSM had to be feeling decent now. Again, deadlock on the defense side. Plays that a little bit differently. In fact, it's arguably more coveted to have that on those attack sides to make those re-hits possible. But you can definitely funnel people into areas that are covered with a lot of her utility. Use that to catch people out. It also means that for Galorys, those fast plays where they don't check, they don't clear that util, become much more deadly, a lot more dangerous. And frankly, they might need to work around a Proto's setups.
Yeah, from what we saw with their deadlock defensive play back during the playoffs and part of Split 2 when they were running this comp, was a lot of emphasis on shower control. So I'm looking to see if that's going to be similar here with the setups from a Proto, very A-focused and very shower-focused, or if things are going to be mixed up a bit more. And if they do remain the same, how prepped will Galorys be for that? I mean, you have to imagine, very much so. This is their map pick, despite it being a good one for TSM. But there's a decent amount of footage out there of TSM on this map. They're going to be more than prepared for what they have to do here. I mean, matter of fact, they've played this comp in 7 matches, so more than enough for Galorys to be ready and to make this comeback a reality.
And that Sonic Sensor there set up by a Proto is for the push. Obviously out of Hookah, that fast play. That will be devastating were Galorys to walk into that. Looks like they're mostly centered over on the A side of the map here to start with. No shocks in terms of what's being brought up at the start of this round. Luke Show does at least have a sheriff. We're going to be out of the gates now with our pistol round. Their first map of this series. Tough first half for Galorys here. See him looking to jump spot some of the action coming down short, but not for Orango to maybe go over the top here. Good ping. He misses the player behind him. Oh, Sim gets a freebie. That's going to be cleared out, though. Sato was able to find 2 here. And Wingman does his thing. We're in the post plant now with some TSM defenders streaming in via vents.
That Dizzy just not broken fast enough. Gives a real opportunity for Sato to capitalize. 4 on 3 now. TSM in a tough position, but evened up immediately.
Looking a little bit better when it comes to the pistol play. Evil kick, and we got player over at short. That is Rude. Bought the util. So the Molly is going to be delaying that defuse. And Rude's been able to turn this into a 1 versus 1. Elsewhere, Evil kick wings out as well. Dangerous, very dangerous for Poised. He fakes the double back though and is ready to face down the brim, but still needs to deal with one more player, and the defuse here looks all but impossible. Horn's going to ping him out. He's got no choice. And Galorys take the pistol.
I mean, how lovely was the play there at the end from Evil Kick and Rude? They were separated from each other, but both played those little micro situations to perfection, taking the peaks at the right time, falling off, causing a little bit of delay. And Poise responded nicely, that fake runaway to get the duel. But at that point, too much time had already been wasted.
Enemy remaining.
Nicely done from the remaining 2 Galorys players. A team that I really feel is pretty well-rounded. I've really seen all of the players step up, find impact at the right moments.
All right. Off the stim, it's a playthrough showers here that's going to see absolutely nothing. TSM will reassemble themselves now. And again, in response, you see they put so many resources on the shower side of the map that they throw up a wall towards Hookah to slow down a flood through there, giving them time to bring him on back towards the B side.
Definitely keeping a watchful eye on how Proto opts to use this utility now defensively 2 times now. A bit more focused towards Hookah. Throwing this wall out. Does eventually get broken by Rude with that Inspector. And on the pistol round 2, had the sonic sensors set up towards B as well, so we'll see how he opts to mix that up. It's a spread default from Galorys that is now going to be pivoted into this B exec.
Just Poised left over at B here. Clearly the sounds of gunfire trying to break the wall weren't enough to tempt further TSM presence to this site. Now they're going to be priced into a full retake with only pistols. Very difficult to find much in a round like this. Sims opted to go through the TP though. Rude instantly smokes off Hookah, denying that raise any further ingress.
And that's Luxo just taking a little peek for him long. Just falls off. You can really see already these 2 attack rounds, the discipline from the Galorys players.
Looking very well drilled. Sato there acquiesces as 7 steps up to the plate. And eventually Sim spending a lot of time just working around the edges of Hookah. Meets his maker. That leaves a Proto to pick up where he left off, and he does so in exactly the same style. There it is. Galorys convert on that pistol round win here and get to 6 in the second half.
You know, it's superior weaponry, of course, from Galorys, but it doesn't matter. None of them are just taking duels for the sake of taking duels. They're playing all of those situations by the book very properly. And You do love to see that from them. The number 1 seed from Brazil, showing why already. And interestingly, these Brazilian teams so far, they haven't been, opting to do the light buy on round 2, where you get a couple rifles so you can have basically a full buy on the 3rd. They're kind of just going the old style, pure buy up what you can on round 2, bring some Bulldogs and Spectres into the 3rd round, which is what they've got right now.
Blinded.
And obviously means the bonuses, they sort of get what they're given in that regard. So they always look to have a pretty clean second round, which probably explains why they played it fairly slow, fairly passive. A Proto here, a player being credited with shaving his mustache when he lost a clutch instantly, coming back 30 seconds later with a clean face. Gonna be waiting for a time to get that wall out, but he's forced out instantly. DSM, though, with these rifles starting to go to work. It's going to be Sato in a 1 versus 2, benefiting from the stim. With the spike down, taking some damage through that box, and it's going to be Gimon, the last one standing. Honestly, tough for TSM on the buy to only have 1 gun taken into the next round.
Yeah, that is tough. Conversion of the anti-bonus, but just barely. So much damage done. Orango scaling nicely into the site to find that opening. We've seen now from TSM a real emphasis on playing some of these close angles. They did that on the pistol. If you remember, Sim was pressed up all the way on A short. This time pressed up all the way on hookah. And the players are getting caught. It's been tough for them. So we'll see if TSM make an adjustment in that regard. Those anchors have been getting shut down. They barely win that out.
Buy is a little awkward. It could have been a lot worse. Just a lot of light armor here for TSM. The sonic sensors are set up over on the A site. And Galorys are waiting for a timing here. Nothing super aggressive early in the round. They're just starting to send Evil Kick into showers now.
Yeah, it didn't even...
And here it comes. They're going to play up this buy for Util.
Didn't even use Util to get into showers. Walked up all the way. Here comes the exec Sato indeed.
Caught by the sonic sensor. That could hurt, but no follow-up here from TSM quite yet. In fact, Poise ambles out into the open and is taken down by Evil Kick. Another sonic sensor goes off. Another trigger of it at the very least as Orangos tries to get deep into the site. Sato's having to turn it into a trade. Even in numbers here, but that showstopper could be an issue. Sato, though, not able to connect on anyone else but 7. So the trades go back and forth, and it's up to Rude. No molly to hand. No way to stall the defuse out, but catches a Proto coming out of the smoke. And another multi-kill for Rude. Another Zippo clutch for Galorys.
The timing on the swing just off by a hair, and it results in another Rude clutch. This guy steps up in those situations so consistently for Galorys, who are on the verge of letting the round just slip through their grasp, trying to fight back sight because they knew they had 7 cornered in that pocket. But they had missed the timing window. The smokes dropped. They're caught just out in the open, multiple angles. TSM players were swarming onto them. And again, there's the controller player, Rude, who steps up in the clutch situation to keep this string of rounds going. TSM had only been able to convert 1 on the anti-bonus, and they're right back onto an eco.
Rash and Showstopper are available to them. A Proto here has struggled to find the timings to deploy these barriers. And a couple of rounds ago was forced sort of out of hookah before he had a chance to lay it down. Here's that Nightfall, but 7 finds the timing. Luxo, proud as you like, perched up on that box, gets taken down by the Sheriff. And now Sim pulls out the Showstopper. This is going to slow things down for Galorys. And he's having to get Rude at least on the way through. Sato, they're always there to punish, always good for a trade. This time it's Gimond finally waking up. And that is a dirty, thrifty round for TSM.
I mean, that is just Galorys trying to brute force short, and the value from the deadlock, again, being the source of impact for TSM, that GravNet catching too. Lovely from a Proto, really excelling on this agent. Again, this is just a map that TSM have fallen back on. They've played it so many times in North America, getting picked into it from Galorys.
Come on, little homies. Let's get
They're looking solid.
Such an odd draft in general for maps, especially because we know so little about Galorys Haven. Well, we're going to get to see it one way or another. TSM would like that to come around sooner rather than later. We'll see just a few more rounds to get them there. Luxo here actually shows through the wall. Gets caught there by a sonic sensor. GravNet thrown, but he couldn't get far enough to activate that and also pass through the TP there.
Now, this is the setup that a Proto was using very frequently when we have watched TSM on this map before, with the deep wall thrown out into shower to control that side of the map. Things are really slowing down now in the mid-round.
He's drinking.
I'm going to assume that things are slowing down, and it's not a gameplay decision.
Oh, you're kidding. I hope he's just... Ain't no way. Yo, Sim's chill. Ain't no way Sim be drinking midway through the round. We've got a tech pause called here. Normally, the timer you thought would stop, but yeah,
all good. No one took damage. We reset. All is well.
3 rounds in it right now. Obviously, round 18 of the game, Galorys are walking into with arguably weaker weaponry, getting completely bowled over by a thrifty setup for TSM on that A site in the previous round. Couple of odd situations. Sim able to turn his showstopper into a guaranteed kill. And it was a good opener for 7 as well, as Sato was standing on top of the boxes on short, not ready for that timing. Just in case you don't know that, Sato, he even has his name on his epic gamer sleeve. As opposed to the cherry blossoms of his compatriots. Bold decision.
It's going to be tough for Galorys if they try to, brute force some of these rounds and just end up hitting the deadlock site as they did on that previous one. They're going to really need to get the information on that. Otherwise, they're just going to get eaten alive by that utility. Every single grab net a Proto has thrown has caught at least one player. I don't think... Has he missed one yet? I mean, it doesn't feel like it. At least when he's on camera, he hasn't missed any.
I mean, there was a grab net that he threw, but the player was already caught in a sonic sensor, so I think it was... one of the players, I think, was just not able to walk up into it because he was slowed, because he couldn't move. I also do think that the calling of a technical pause every round to inflict a crippling state of narcolepsy on your opponents and win the game by default is also a relatively novel strategy. I'm here for it, honestly.
Listen, you got to do it. Do what you can to get into the partnership league. There's only one spot. Every little advantage you can squeeze out of this, you have to acquire.
Yeah,
go
too far away for pocket sand, and the noise cancelling headphones of TSM render them immune to ASMR. So it has to be tech pauses. Maybe sleeping gas in through the vents, but you're also susceptible to that as well. There's only a few ways that you could knock them out in that regard. Let's come on, chat. See, you asked for him, we delivered. It's your boy.
And he is awake.
Yes. They're fighting off sleep very effectively.
The potency of the sleeping gas got him earlier. But he's returned to sentience. I have seen so many thumbs up from TSM, and it's given me such false hope that we'll be getting back into the game. Yeah. 7 gave about 5 thumbs up in the prior tech pause. It was not a thumbs up. There was nothing to give a thumbs up about. Oh, and there it is again. He did it again.
And another thumbs up to someone else this time. How many thumbs up until they're able to convey their readiness and willingness to continue playing Valorant? I think maybe the rest of TSM could get involved in that as well. I really do think that thumbs up by committee is a much more powerful way of expressing your extreme desire to play the video game.
Okay.
We notice there, admin on his phone. Now he's actually using his the intercom device is on the phone. That's how he communicates. He's not playing Subway Surfers while we're in the tech pause. Don't worry, fam. They are obviously on the crowd trying to work this out. Oh, bro, just one more level.
Can we zoom in on that phone? I need to investigate. I can tell you
it's the Unity app that they're using to communicate with. The back of house there. And good. Rude's off to the sauna after this game. Already brought his towel. Respect that. Probably pretty warm down there. Oh, yeah, actually, you checked the temperature in Monterey just because we were that curious.
Yeah,
like mid-80s, right? It's very reasonable.
High 80s, yeah.
I was going to say, if
just
they're in
'cause
Monterey
I saw-
Park, Los Angeles, it'd be like 100. So be glad you're in Mexico.
I saw
friends.
a lot of legs out. There were a lot of shorts. M80s specifically. They really were. They were letting the thighs breathe. These guys, though, not so much. You know, not
just
so much.
Just do the honestly, like, just go all the way. If you're really concerned about like aeration of your nether
What do
regions,
you-
just go the
go
full
all
Drew
the
Spark
way.
and wear a kill.
Whoa,
Just wear a kill. Just wear a
Right, the kill. Yeah. Yes.
Come now.
The utility
come now.
kilt.
I'll tell you,
The
Drew
mountain
Spark.
hardware
honestly,
utility kilt. Have mice and Ethernet cables. Whatever you need to get this tech pause to end. I just have it in there.
That's right. Yeah, Batman's Batman's long lost brother, Connor McTavish with the defending the streets of Dublin with his island, God help me. Not Dublin. Defending the streets of Scotland. Inverness, let's say. Yeah, with his utility kill. That would make for great TV, honestly. Gotham could never.
We've got an ETA, everybody. 3 minutes.
3
as
minutes,
of
folks.
1 minute ago.
So for those
I've
of you
been
at
told,
home,
so I've heard. No promises, but we can hope. We could pray. We can, I don't know.
it's part and parcel
Get on
because
our knees and beg.
I mean, at this point, I would bark for some gameplay. Okay? I won't lie. I would bark for it. We are obviously not live at the venue. We're not on site, so we're sort of in a remote situation here. We're, I obviously not me because I leave that job to those that know how to do it.
After these
our
tech
production,
pauses, I'd be going straight to the beaches of Monterey.
Yeah, it's a nice looking place, honestly. I'm not sure what provoked that decision, but Wikipedia says that Monterey is the 9th largest city and 2nd largest metro area in Mexico, behind Greater Mexico City. It's also located at the foothills of the Sierra Madre Oriental. It's a major North American business and industrial hub. Right now, they're playing home to America's Ascension. It was like the Olympics over there. They've got the streets closed. You know what I mean? Like no one can drive cars anywhere within that region. It's all locked down for this.
I thought you were about to just straight up read the wiki for 3 minutes until we got back into the game. I was about to say that is a great way to kill time.
The commentators in chat asks, are we on the effect of illegal substances? If you think like tech pauses every round is illegal, then yes, we are definitely under the effect of those. Perhaps it should be, honestly. But did you know Monterey is one of the most livable cities in Mexico? And a 2018 study found that suburb San Pedro Garza Garcia is the city with the best quality of life in Mexico. Our players are living it up over there in Monterey. It actually serves as a commercial center of northern Mexico and is the base of many significant international corporations. Just like John Riot could move over there and on his way solve his tech pause and then set up shop. What do you think?
No, and I would love that. I would love that. I'm just observing. I'm trying to get a feel for the body language right now.
Yeah. What's the vibe check? We're looking for aura here.
There's
it's
no
like Emily.
aura.
We need to see their face.
No, this is negative aura. Wait. Hold up.
All right.
We're back. Oh, you love
Chat thinks we're running out of material, but we could go a lot deeper. We're going to go back to the game, though. It's round...
No, let's get a tech
round
pause again,
18. Yeah, we could run it back. Yeah. You know what? We've got a bit of catching up to do on the Pansy Hypoc duo in terms of tech pauses, I think. If we really want to earn our stripes, we will have to go through some of those. So back into buying, folks. Round number 18. TSM on the defensive side here. And Galorys just got thrifted out of their bloody minds.
You remember what happened last round? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, look at this. They're just taking full advantage of the Viper Wall. 3 players just on a nice little stroll into lamps. Hey, guys, they're about to be behind you.
Well, they're behind them. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. 7 able to find 2 there, perched up in the middle of the site. Sasu, though, always good for a couple. Starting to show us a little bit more of that gun skill in this game, but probably comes a little bit too late in this round. Now finds himself on his own with the spike. Tantalizingly close, yet picking it up would expose himself to that angle 7 is on. Gets it for himself, though, and is considering a plunge through the TP. Or into the waiting clutches of TSM. Come on that swing out of heaven. He's able to get it done himself. That's 11 on the board now for TSM. And Galorys, again, couldn't get much done with that sort of haphazard buy.
Inching very close to the victory now. This will be the full buy now for Galorys, as they're going to call a timeout. They need more time. If only there was more timeout time, they could win this game.
Oh, man. Here we are. Timeout here. Tactical pause, though, being called by Galorys because, again, a chance to buy into this next round. And they also have a Thrash available. They also, with the orb control, can get themselves an orbital strike here. So definitely a peak in terms of that ultimate economy and a chance to swing the game at a really pivotal moment. It's probably what I would say if there weren't like 30 minutes of tech pauses in this game already.
I was going to say, I have firmly lost the plot. I don't. What do they need to do to win this next round? What are the win cons? What are they? I don't know. I'm just waiting to see, honestly. I have my mental shattered, and I'm slowly going to recover it piece by piece. I'm picking each little fragment up off the ground right now and reassembling my mind.
We're going to give you some of that ballistic theory, some of that ballistic therapy, rather. You watch people get shot in the face and you will drastically improve your mental state and quality of life, basically in an instant. It's one weird trick that doctors hate you know about. Everyone strap in for that. We're about to get force-fed that exact therapy.
Okay. All right. Let's lock in here. So, Rango does have the Thrash coming into this round. There's actually many ultimates online and close to a couple more, both Rude and GMD, just one off their orbital strike, so things could get very explosive here. As again, Galorys, they just want to hit this A site, and if they do, they have all this deadlock utility to contend with.
Also, TSM kind of giving up the site here. Unclear what has precipitated this. Obviously, they can set down the two sonic sensors, but they're not in the strongest positions to play off of them yet.
I mean, at this point to Galorys, they don't really want to re-explore elsewhere. They were expecting maybe a market push, and you can see Sim has pushed out of Hookah with that operator. But all it's really done is allowed TSM to stack 3 players towards the A site now.
Now they're re-clearing at least through the land. Sada's going to be waiting for this, though. Only good for one. A Proto's going to be there for the trade instantly. Though the Thrash comes out. Can anyone play off of this? Orungo's stunned up, but still is able to find that kill, and Luxo deals with Gimon. 2 versus 4 now.
Spike planted.
Seek is virtually superfluous in a round like this. They know exactly where Galorys are, roughly. And Sim has to peer into the A site with nothing but an operator. All of Galorys have wrapped themselves into corners or out of line of sight. It's going to be up to Poise to dig them out.
Yeah, they know roughly where they are, and that's pretty much everywhere. And this Thrash is just going to cause some further delay. The retake was essentially impossible anyhow, and the entire time Sim is just ready to get out of there with the operator, unless for some reason one of those Galorys players decided to offer themselves up on a nice little silver platter into his crosshair. Doesn't happen. Weapons will be saved.
And that'll be Galorys winning the round. And it's such an interesting start there for TSM because they sort of give up the site because they feel good about their retake, right? The ultimates are pretty darn, strong. Definitely in their favor for that. But then they second guess themselves and come back to re-clear and get caught off. And this is, at this point, right, we see the tempo speed up for Galorys. I think there's there's a mosh pit that prevents half of Galorys from getting down short there. Yeah, TSM going back in and it gets a little bit ugly from there on out.
Yeah, I mean, against the Thrash as well, being a little bit too focused on lamps can just really be a death sentence, and it certainly was for a Proto. Different position taken now with the operator from Sim. Top of truck, you get that nice angle towards short. Maybe catch someone on Galorys unawares when the smokes fade. We'll have to see if maybe Luxo tries to work up short, get some spaces. The rest of his team, they garner some control of B long, and now intend on peeling back off and just going for these A execs again, favoring this site so heavily. This time only 2 players to contend with.
Poised in a position to fall back to showers should be required, so Evil Kick is going to be crucial in that regard. Nicely done for Sim. Just takes a raw contact here. Despite the wall, able to find something, and Poised is ready for Evil Kick as well, but not the showstopper from Sato. That could have been a double. That could have been anything. Rude and Rungo very, very low as they get to this side, but Sato is still looking dangerous. Wingman gets that spike down. Sato faces the challenge raw from 7 and finds another one. He has gone ballistic over the last couple of rounds. And he's causing no shortage of headaches for TSM, who are down to just 1. Finally, The rampaging starter was brought to heal by a Proto, but not after he takes 4 TSM kills. And now it's going to be up to a Proto, who's usually good in the clutch, but that is a tall order on this round.
Wow, what a hero Sato is on that round. There's been a lot of hype generated around his name in the Brazilian community. Turns up there after Sim finds the opening. First it was that showstopper, the trade onto Poise. I think that shot from Sim actually did collat them, just both through the legs.
Don't worry, Prince.
I mean, what a hero. That was damn near unwinnable for Galorys.
A double leg, that is brutal
And
for
it's
Sim.
only right we get another pause.
Absolutely, get him out.
They need more time. They need more time to yap to each other.
This might be a TSM tack pause here. After that round that goes awry, and they save an operator over those 2 separate rounds, and Sim is handling that contact fairly well. First playing above the wall, perched up on the truck. Gets an easy kill, falls back. They don't expect Sato to barrel into the side with that showstopper, and that's what catches Poised, who was playing showers, who was ready to deal with the evil kick. Turning up there a little bit late. That was when things were looking good. And then Sato finds 4 kills, leaving a Proto all alone. And TSM now a little nervous. They started this game looking so strong, but those individuals that we highlighted on the side of Galorys at the start of this game have come alive. Now we're starting to see the kind of threat that this region can produce in some of their individuals. Can they tie it together and tie this game up?
TSM on an awkward buy now. A couple rifles, hero rifles, and Sim's trying to take advantage of that with an aggressive push that Luke Zhou is just ready for. Crosshair placed perfectly onto his head. Yeah, 7 is trying to walk up to it. That smoke gets placed so he can grab it safely. Does retreat with it.
Trailblazer, timing is decent on this. Gimon is going to see those 2 Galorys players start to make their way out here. So nicely done, Poised with the better weapon here. Makes full use of it to take the Gecko down. So that's your wingman plant condition offline.
You know, Galorys are ready to absorb this aggression, but it doesn't matter. Poised is hitting shots right now. Just double facing to even things up in the mid-round, taking a risk. It pays off. And it's a passive setup. TSM are allowing them to walk into sight, but they are ready to contend when the spike gets tapped. And actually, I mean, again, the granite, fantastic from him.
One enemy remaining.
Playing inside the stim is big with the stinger. Sato gets ripped to shreds instantly. It's up to Luke Zhou now. There's a chance for a post-plant Viper's Pit here on the B site. Play inside that with a Phantom. Those odds are pretty good. TSM have got to group up for this now. And the Seekers should confirm to them the position of that loose Viper.
Spike planted.
It's going to come down as well. This is so winnable for Luke Zhou. 1 versus 2.
How good's the spray transfer? Because it's likely TSM front him at the same time. So low. Luke Zhou checks it. Finds Poised silhouette there through the smoke. Now Gimon decayed down to 1. Such a hard situation to win in here for Gimon. And yep, the stray bullet catches him out. 4 for Luke Zhou. And another massive Zippo clutch.
That is the 3rd time now. The trifecta of 1v2s for Galorys. 2 from Rude, 1 from Luke Zhou stepping up. When they needed him most, he's been quiet this game and is really one of the standout players for the Galorys side typically. Finally gets around where he's got some outsized impact late into the game. Bear in mind, though, that wasn't even a real buy for TSM. A couple hero rifles just ready to buy for this one fully. And that includes getting another operator for Sim.
There.
Sim gets a lot of map control here, and again, the Gecko's down.
Spawn.
As the spike dropped, and it means that Galorys here have to commit to the side if they want to get into that post plant. Oh, Sim asking for a little too much there. There was a sonic sensor in play to take a fast hit, but he goes for it. As an operator dropped in hookah.
Yeah, you just have to ask if it's necessary to go for such a forward position at a time like that in the round. You've already got the advantage. Gonna be frustrated with himself there for going down. Wall.
Annihilation here for a Proto.
Yeah, that could be massive. If there's one thing I've seen NA players playing Deadlock do, is hit a hell of a lot of annihilations.
Orbital Strike is going to cover over elbow here. Nobody for TSM in attendance, though. That was the Annihilation thrown out there, but Reproder and Poised are both down, and Luke Show is released from the cocoon. Now it's going to be Kimona 7 left, but Sada was already holding the angle, and Galorys have been a cut above over the last 4 or 5 rounds. This has looked pretty
Right here.
horrendous from TSM. Conversely, though, the step-outs from Luke Show and Sato specifically have been stunning.
Yeah, he has come to life playing Raze here on the attack half. I mean, over the past few months, the Raze has really been the standout duelist for Sato. I mean, across the board, he has been playing all of them at a high level, dropping insane stats. But over the past 3 months on Raze is sitting at a 1.07 kills per round. Over 1 kill per round on average. I mean, ludicrous consistency from him on this agent. And that is part of the reason that they've taken TSM to bind, despite it being one of their best maps.
There.
This is good early, right? Sim takes a bit of that map control on the periphery. Then he just
Enemy remaining.
overextended into hookah, got caught out. Things started to fall apart pretty quickly, and that's what we kind of see from Sim, right? Even in the same round, these moments of like excellent discipline, brilliance, and then steps forward too far, overextends a little bit, gets caught out.
Man, punished so hard there.
I was waiting for an attack pause, honestly.
Feels like they could each call 5 in this game, to be honest. A lot of pressure.
We're all out.
Showers now from Butt. Dealt with volley and the nade for Sato to work in. Catches Sim again, goes down first. Wow, gets a... I mean, these trades are fantastic. The swings from Galorys, perfect. The Proto with the Sheriff, backside.
Normally, I liken this to Nismo holding a Guardian. But there's so much for a Proto still to do. Poison Orb, very rude. Thrown up in his face, and Luke Show now dives in. Starting to brim a little bit with that confidence we've come to expect from this Brazilian. Reach in at a time at a Proto. He just goes into the smoke, and he's not ready for it. TSM now at risk of letting this map slip away entirely.
And that is just... I mean, such confidence shining through from Galorys here at this moment. Like, the take of Showers to just go through the smoke, nade Molly, and then swinging together. The disruption that those two pieces of utility caused the TSM setup just sent them running. Caught by the Sato swing. I mean, you already mentioned it, but my God, he is just on fire in the second half. I mean, he's about to send TSM 6 feet under after they were up 8-4. Bear in mind, before the side swap. Nutty performance.
The first half definitely didn't give us any confidence in Galorys. We really didn't feel like there was much to write home about. Their star players weren't really able to step up. No one able to distinguish themselves at all, really. Outside, I think, a crucial clutch by Rude in that first half to win them around back. It was all TSM. They were confident. They were executing very well, especially those A-side hits. And now they struggle to find value out of the deadlock. It's tough to see, you know, a Proto, obviously, the night and day difference. That first half, he's able to set up trap plays with so much of that util, catch people out. Here, he has to be reactive with so much of that deadlock util. He can't just leave everything lying in wait. The grab nets have to be deployed manually, etc. TSM at least have a decent buy here for what would be the last round of regulation. With a thrash to hand, but they're dealing with the one on the other side. And Sato with a showstopper at the ready.
Yeah, this looks to be an explosive ending to regular time, whether that's a win or sending it to OT. 5 ultimates in play. Thrash gets all that space into hookah. I mean, even back sight. Look at the information gathered as Galorys trying to capitalize, get into B.
TSM have nowhere to get back in right now. Also hit by a Nightfall. Information continuing to flow into the neurons of Galorys. And Sato wanting to make this rocket flow to the cranium of Poised. It connects. Kimon, the heroic effort, able to step up and find 2. Traded out eventually by Luxo. Sim onto the side, found Luxo. And Urango's caught by a Thrash. TSM salvage things and force it to overtime.
A beautiful flood. Sim getting back in there with a showstopper, but you can't give enough credit to GMD. One of the other consistent pieces of this TSM team that have made them so great as the year has progressed. The double spray down is just gorgeous. Sato unable to find that trade. I mean, stunned up is Sim, the Thrash getting value. I mean, just, again, the amount of ultimates in this round. They're all popped off. Regulation ends with a bang.
Nutty stuff there from Sim. I mean, he follows the Thrash in, but before he, follows that target up, he's found a showstopper kill. He takes down the player over an Octagon with a Guardian, no less. And then finishes the job on the stunned up player. Brilliant moment there from Sim and Gimon combined. Just as it looked like Galorys will be swarming over that site, they had full control, they had a lot of information. Maybe they blew a lot of that util a little too early.
That was the first time TSM really went for such a proactive, swift flood like that. It just works to perfection. Guiding like Ghosty doesn't get a ping, and TSM feel comfortable taking long due to that. Trailblazer in as well. This is just fastened to be.
They're going for it. Sim flashed up briefly here with a dizzy. Can't win it out. Luxo took no damage from Sim there as he was fully blinded. Spike dropped. This is going to slow that side hit down a little bit. Seven affected by Prowler, forced to give up Hookah entirely. Now take up a position for the post plant towards Octagon.
Spike planted.
And look at
the late wrap.
Yeah, so late on that wrap right now. Could be the key.
Get him, wingman. Okay.
This group up inside container here for TSM. Means that Seven is the one that's probably going to be relaying a lot of the info here. But if he gets picked up by Rude on this flank through B long, it could be curtains.
Down you go.
There it is. Rude finds one. Seven though is aware of it now, and he is able to complete the kill. 3 for 7 in the round. Solid as a rock here. Now Sato's going to make him work for it. Hit though by the Thrash, and Seven's going to run on in and get the job done. Heartbreaking for Galorys. They had the option. The flank was good by Rude, but not enough.
Beautiful
Switching
play
sides.
from Seven. I mean, gets the Thrash in the OT round. Come on, man. So well done from him. Has had such a breakout year as the initiator. I mean, he's been hanging around the tier 2 scene for so long now, playing a multitude of different roles. Initially, he started even on Duelist way back when, and he was like the 100 Thieves backup, a future prospect for them. And it's just not really been able to find his footing on a team. He's been good. He's had good performances, but this year, playing initiator with this TSM team, totally different level. What he did in the playoffs to get here, his Sova play was lights out. And right now on the Gecko, just continuing that level.
And again, doing it in his home country as well, which must be pretty thrilling for the young lad. Lo and behold, there were extra tactical pauses remaining. It's quite remarkable. Like a bottomless well of them. We're going to be into the game in just a moment here, as that was obviously Galorys making that call. Presumably, they want to put together their attacking strategy, formulate that one, and take us to yet another run through overtime. That was really solid from TSM, but their attack side was never the issue over the course of this series. Their defense shaky. They floundered at times. We're trying to get their deadlock in position to get nearly as much value as they did on the attacking side from her, and it has been difficult over the course of the game. Afroda's been very solid, but so that deadlock util headlining and more of that individual gunplay has got him to where he is.
We're going to see if TSM can close this out. 3 players from them stacked up towards B right now, pressuring towards long. Just facing together. They're ready to take a fight. Poise even walking down close. Past the smoke.
They're going for it. Oh, they're going for it.
Spike
Sim and
down,
Poise
B.
and Seven. Ay, Dios mío, that is dirty. The push down B long. Spike loose. And TSM take a gamble here to potentially win the map.
That is just such a great call from Poised out of the timeout. Throwing a wrench in the works, hitting Galorys with something that they haven't seen on this map quite yet. The potency of the combo when you get that dizzy in tandem with another flash. Everybody blinded up, free kills, shooting Gallery for the TSM squad. And now they just have to close things out in sound fashion, 5 versus 2.
Oop. Okay, no one there to follow up on that one for Seven, but the flash is there, and Sim gets the job done. Fist in the air for TSM as they run across rocky ground in the second half of Bind. The attack side from Galorys looked very, very solid. but they're going to walk away the W and be happy about it as their map pick awaits them.
Yeah, the map pick from Galorys is the one that TSM just took. Bind has always been solid for TSM. It's been great for Galorys, but still a risk taken, and the risk doesn't pay off. We're headed to Haven, which Galorys have never played with this iteration of the roster. They've never played it in 2024, so we do not know what to expect. Neither do TSM. POISED said he was feeling prepped and ready for this squad and watched a ton of their footage, but there is no prep he can do for this, so just purely relying on TSM's own game here as we head to their map pick.
Yeah, it's been a solid map for them in general. I think they were happy enough to get Bind. A map where they looked great domestically, but here struggled a little bit. Some jitters to work out for both sides, of course, not only on the in-game side, but the tech side. We'll be back after the break for more of this series. It'll be Haven on the docket up next.